hosting tonight's forum is to be based and the Chinese community. This is more of an information forum where we provide a platform for people to ask questions. However, this is not a debate forum. Everyone has the right to ask questions, but the candidates also have the right not to answer them. We hope everyone keeps an open mind, listen to what others have to say, and respect others' opinions. We may not always agree with each other, but we must respect one another. Thanks again for your participation. We go back to Eden.
Thank you, Jesselyn. So I am Eden Kai. I have lived in Short Hills with my husband and 2 children for over 8 years now. I'm pleased to be the moderator for tonight's forum. We hope this event can help the residents get to know each candidate better and decide whom you want to represent in next 3 years on our township committee. Before we start, I'd like to describe the format of tonight's event. We'll begin with the introduction by each candidate first, followed by Q&A session and closing statements. For the opening, each candidate has a maximum of 2 minutes. After the introduction, I'll ask 4 to 5 prepared questions, which has been shared with the candidates in advance. For each question, each team will have a maximum 3 minutes. Either a candidate in a group can answer it solely or supplement each other's answer. And then we'll open the chat box to the audience Q&A. The audience can submit questions through the chat box after our prepared question session. We'll select audience question from chat box based on the submission time. So each candidate can raise their hand to answer the audience question, or they can choose not to answer. Finally, each candidate will have been given 2 minutes for a closing statement, and we'll have a timer on the screen to remind the candidates about the time. Okay, so let's get started. For candidate introduction, we'll have Chanu go first, and then Bruce, Ben, and then Frank. Chanu and Bruce, the floor is yours.
Hi, thank you. This is Shuru Goyal, and thank you to Millburn Shorters Chinese Association for organizing this forum. And thanks to everyone for taking your precious time out to hear us today. My name is Shuru, and I'm a Millburn resident since 2016, and I am a proud Democrat. I firmly believe in democratic principles and policies, giving back, transparency, and advocating for those who can advocate for themselves. And I have been able to achieve all of this right here while living in Millburn. Well, I have to say, as an Asian immigrant, as a woman, and a mother of 2, my journey has not been easy. And I'm sure most of you share the same experiences as I have had. But I'm very proud to say that with the help of my beautiful Millburn Shorters community, I have been able to accomplish a lot and been able to raise my family here. I'm a mom of 2 children who are currently going to Millburn schools. My daughter has seen all the Millburn public schools and is currently in Millburn High School. My son is at Deerfield Elementary School. I have been a very active volunteer all these years in Millburn Shorters. I helped the families that were impacted by Ida in 2021, and I literally had teary eyes. I had the first-hand witness and helped remove the water and debris from their homes. I've volunteered immensely for Oktoberfest events. Recently, we formed a band, local band in Millburn with the Millburn residents, and we performed at Oktoberfest. Hope most of you would have enjoyed listening and dancing to our songs. I also volunteer for Deerfield School events. I have volunteered for Strawberry Festival, organized movie nights. Professionally, I have also been named as the most influential women in the banking in the world by United States.
Sorry, I have to cut you off. It's
okay.
Time is up.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. If we could just take a second to have our thoughts with the people of Israel, I would appreciate that. Hi, I'm Bruce Kramer, running for the Democratic ticket for the Millburn Township Committee, along with my running mate Charu Guru. I thank everybody and the Chinese Association for hosting this. I've been living in Millburn for 14 years. My wife, Jessica Channon, has been living here for 27 years. We are a blended family of 4 adult children and 4 grandchildren. 2 of our adult children went through the Millburn school system from kindergarten through high school. I'm a certified public accountant licensed in New York and New Jersey. I'm a retired partner from the firm of Cohen Resnick, and I currently operate my own practice part-time, and I share an office with my wife, who's an immigration attorney. Some of my volunteerism is I was a trustee of Monmouth Medical Center, president of the New Jersey Medical Group Management Association. I'm currently a member of the Historic Preservation Commission. And just to clear the air, the other day, there was a meeting where I stood up for the residents and I voted no. People misinterpreted. That no vote was to allow people to speak, which is what I was trying to do. So let's not misinterpret that. I'm also a member of the Board of Managers Emeritus of East Orange YMCA, which is close to my heart because that gives parents the ability to keep their kids in a safe place while they can work. I'm a proud member of the Democratic Party my entire life. I've been endorsed by the Jewish caucus of the New Jersey Democratic Party. I am considered a gun sense candidate for Moms Demand Action. I volunteer for Be Smart for Kids and invited to join Everytown's Demand a Seat. I'm a strong believer in a pay it forward concept. People consider me to be helpful, open to discussion, extremely friendly, very honest, trustworthy, a person of integrity.
Thank you, Bruce. Yes, sorry, your time is up.
That's fine.
Ben and Frank. Ben, you want to unmute yourself?
Great. Thank you all for attending. Bruce, Charu, Frank, thank you for attending as well, and the MSHCA for hosting. My name is Ben Stoller. I've been a resident of this area since 1999, specifically Short Hills, Millburn since 2015. My wife and I moved to Millburn because of the great school system, low crime, proximity to New York City and the airports, and the collegial small town feel. We have 4 children, all of whom have attended or are currently attending MSH public schools. I have volunteered countless hours and coached in various recreational sports in towns for years, including girls volleyball, girls soccer, wrestling, baseball, and football. This has been a great experience for me to spend time with my children and teach and mentor other children and build relationships with parents that will last a lifetime. I began my career as a financial analyst in mergers and acquisitions and have since held numerous roles of increasing responsibility. Currently, I'm co-founder and manager of a private equity type holding company of environmentally friendly companies rooted in supply chain and logistics. We have a singular goal of eliminating CO2 emissions and reducing waste in the supply chain. I believe that we are slowly seeing the erosion of all the elements that make Millburn a great place to live due to a dereliction of fiduciary duty and responsibility by our township committee. Residents are not being listened to, and the governance and decision-making of our town has been passed on to municipal lawyers, planning lawyers, town planners, town administrators, all of whom do not have any skin in the game or may even possibly be conflicted. There is zero accountability, transparency, or good governance by our current TC. I am running for TC to bring proven real-world decision-making in areas such as strategy, operations, and financial planning, and bring some real leadership to our team. Right here in town, we have the best and brightest people from every avenue of experience: business, finance, marketing, education, mental health, environmentalist, and so much more. Yet we do not seek to utilize these resources. I am collaborating for the best outcomes for our town and families.
Ben, thank you. Perfect timing. Frank?
Good evening. First off, thank you to the Millburn Short Hills Chinese Association for organizing this forum and to the audience for tuning in. Making an informed decision for our local election is critical to our quality of life right here in town. My name is Frank Sacamandi. I'm running for Millburn Township Committee because the soul of Millburn is at risk. The core qualities that we all moved here for, exceptional schools, safety and security, and the tranquil suburban setting, are all under threat. With no public input, our township forced through radical overdevelopment plans that will overwhelm our schools, roads, and critical services. Car thefts have tripled compared to 5 years ago. Yet our township continues to underreport crime. Why is there no transparency? Our single-party controlled township committee focuses more on ingratiating themselves with Trenton politicians than with respecting Millburn residents. Our interests are being sacrificed to appease the dictates of a powerful political machine. Prior to last year, I had been a Democrat for more than 10 years, but upon seeing the ills of single-party machine rule in our beloved town, I switched parties to run because I care deeply for our community. Millburn means the world to me. I am an IT infrastructure engineer at a hedge fund in Manhattan with over 15 years of experience. I routinely build consensus to address mission-critical problems with global teams. I have managed 8-figure budgets, negotiated large contracts, and managed complex transitions. I approach problems with an engineering mindset. I don't simply accept consultant advice or partisan narratives at face value. Rather, I investigate the facts and dig into the details before crafting solutions. This approach is what Millburn needs right now. Your vote will determine Millburn's future direction. Ben and I have stepped up to educate and activate the community. We have publicly spoken out against the overdevelopment foisted on us by the machine Democrats. We are the only candidates with a comprehensive plan committed to preserving and protecting Millburn Short Hills. You can learn more at our website, voteformillburn.com.
Thank you, Frank. So thank you, candidates, for your introduction. Let's move to next session, the prepare a question answer. I just want to remind each team will have 3 minutes, and you'll see timer again when it approaches to the last 30 seconds. So the first question, I think myself and our people in this probably very much want to ask about affordable housing. So the first question is, there are a lot of affordable housing, I shouldn't say that, there are few affordable housing projects currently under construction, which may pose challenge for our community. So how do you plan to address these challenges, considering the potential impact on our township resources and amenities? Could you outline your approach in more detail? So Team Shanu and Bruce can go first, and then Team Ben and Frank.
Okay, first off, I want to begin saying that there is nothing fair about fair share housing. We have to acknowledge the fact that we are in this mess where we are right now because nothing was done since 39 years by Republican-led township committee. They simply decided to kick the can down the road, and that's where we are in mess. By 2015, 300 towns had complied by fair share housing, and when they had the right negotiation powers. But look here, where is Millburn? Millburn, along with 8 other towns, were left because the Republicans never decided to look into it when the time was right. And when it was brought in 2015, with fair share housing, the code mandated to have the deal signed and to prevent avoiding any zoning and planning to be out of control from township and to prevent having any huge fines incurred on Millburn. Well, that's not the best plan. I'm not saying that there was the best plan, but it had to be done in Millburn. However, my plan is going into 2025 to work with the state, to work with the legislature and make sure that we have the right laws to be able to provide the right and the sensible, smart development in the town. I don't want the repeat to happen, which Republicans did back then, 20 years back, when if God forbid, they come into TC and again kick the can down the road. I do not approve of any sales project. I do not approve the DPW project, but here we are. And DPW project has been reviewed and approved by DEP, which has made it quite healthy and safe. And any construction will be done only after proper procedures and process, which is excavation or capping.
Okay, and speaking about that development, there were 75 units that are going there. And I know that they talk about it being segregated units, but had we not taken those 75 units, we could have had 350 to 500 or 700 units there. Did we really want that? So it's better to have the 700 units, 70 units, 75 units rather, which is no different than a lot of other towns have the same type of units. Do we really want the people who created this problem to try to fix this problem? I don't think so. You can't fight this law. Inglewood Cliffs just tried to do that. They lost the case just like every other town that went before the courts on this case. And now Inglewood Cliffs is in a much worse situation with where they could have been had they taken care of this from the beginning. So, we have some ideas on how we're going to fix it, and as best we can with what we're compelled to do.
Yes, absolutely. And that's the idea. And what Republicans have been trying to deceive people and revert the plan. Come on, speak up the truth, guys.
Thank you, Bruce and Shanu. Frank and Ben.
Great. So thank you very much for this question. So what we'll do is we'll hire the best litigators to fight and stop the 75-unit income segregated dump housing project. This project vastly exceeds our town's affordable housing obligation. The Township Committee is giving away township property worth millions, paying for environmental cleanup and exposing Millburn to unlimited legal liability if remediation is not done properly. The project is going to be a pilot and will not contribute any tax revenue to our schools. Simply put, we do not need to build the housing on the dump. There is legal precedent for fighting this project because it's part of our town's unmet need, which can be addressed through rezoning. Now, you've heard our opponents say that Millburn kicked the can down the road for decades. This is patently false. Since the 1960s, Millburn has been considered a fully developed community. We complied with all Mount Laurel obligations up until 2015 when the law changed. Ask yourself, why do our opponents deflect blame to officials at the state level when their party controls all the levers of government and our state government? The simple answer is because they want all of this overdevelopment and they are complicit in its approval. Remember, it's the Democrats that approve this plan. Now, to be clear, we do not oppose affordable housing, but we are vehemently opposed to irresponsible overdevelopment rammed through under the guise of affordable housing, ultimately lining the pockets of connected developers instead of helping the very folks it was meant to lift up. We can do better, and we have a 3-point plan. 1, we will properly inventory existing rentals that are already at levels considered to be affordable. Given the 20% vacancy rate amongst existing rental units, there are hundreds of units sitting empty. We will work with property owners to refresh, rehab, and redeed these units so that they can be counted towards our obligation. In the 2025 round of affordable housing, we will prioritize the provisioning of senior housing, which allows empty nesters to stay in our community and limits the number of students brought to the schools. We will also promote the development of affordable, lower density townhouses that qualified applicants can purchase. Home ownership gives residents pride of ownership, additional stability, and the opportunity to build equity. Ben?
Sure. Now, there's more than 13 other towns in New Jersey suing the governor to reconstitute standardized affordable housing laws across the state. Although we say we can't do anything, there's a lot we can do. This will eliminate the backroom dealing that's been done that led to our agreement. We will join this lawsuit. We will immediately commission a workforce studies to understand how much we need to increase critical public safety services such as fire, EMS, and police for the overdevelopments that are going on right now. We'll study the sewer capacity and stormwater management as it relates to incoming buildings and developments. Already, there are significant traffic backups on Upper Millburn Avenue. I'm sure everybody on this Zoom knows about it. And the Metropolitan in Springfield hasn't come on because it has 2 entryways to Millburn. We will partner with the Board of Education to commission accurate and unbiased school impact studies to understand the urgency.
I'm sorry to cut you off. The time is up.
Thanks.
Yeah. Next question. Our community has become increasingly diverse, and this trend is likely to continue with more Asian Americans moving into the community. What opportunities and challenges do you see with this demographic shift? And what specific policies do you propose to further promote diversity? So for this question, Team Ben and Frank will go first, and then Team Shanu and Bruce.
So Millburn Short Hills is successful at attracting diverse groups such as Asian Americans precisely because of its welcoming community, exceptional schools, and small town charm. My husband, Dr. Jerry Kung, is a second-generation Chinese American. And for us, one of the main attractions of Millburn Short Hills was the presence of an established Chinese American community. We intend to start a family, and raising our children in a diverse environment full of talented, tolerant, and ambitious individuals is very important to us. Diversity is strength. It is also important for our community to bring together different perspectives, experiences, talents, and cultural backgrounds. We must do everything we can to maintain all that makes Millburn so special while also nurturing our blossoming diversity. America is at its best when individuals of all different cultures, beliefs, and backgrounds learn from one another through mutual respect and understanding, instead of being siloed within different sub-communities and echo chambers. To help promote diversity, we would initiate an annual cross-cultural festival supplemented with workshops and different heritage months to foster deep intercultural understanding and appreciation. These initiatives would have the added effect of expanding interest in the fantastic events put on by the Chinese Association, such as the Lunar New Year Festival and the Moon Festival Gala. Township committee members must model inclusive behavior for the rest of the community, starting with inclusive staffing policies. Currently, there are no Chinese Americans on the Planning Board, the Zoning Board, or the Historic Preservation Commission. We have spoken to residents who are willing to serve, but were pushed aside due to their lack of political connections. This is unacceptable. Ben and I will make the selection process fair and transparent to ensure diverse representation. We need qualified individuals of all backgrounds to improve quality of life in our town, not party puppets who will simply carry out the bidding of the township committee. Ben, over to you.
Yeah. Recently, we've started seeing some disturbing incidents of hate speech, bias, and discrimination in town. I've started receiving it since I joined this Republican ticket. I want to be very clear on this. These behaviors have no place in our community, Millburn Short Hills. We will ask that all our municipal employees undergo cultural sensitivity training to ensure fair and respectful treatment for all residents. We must carefully track all the data related to the frequency of bias and discrimination within our community, understand the prevalence, and determine the trends. After all, if you don't measure a problem, you can't fix it. We must collaborate with the Board of Education to ensure that both parents and their children have the proper toolkits to call out, stand up, and push back on microaggressions, stereotyping, and prejudice. They should not be shrouded in secrecy, but instead should be taken as opportunities to learn, heal, and make our community whole again. As Ms. Miggins says at the township committee meetings, we are all neighbors. No need for hate.
Thank you, Ben and Frank. Bruce and Shannon.
Sure. So Democrats believe our diversity is our strength. And I'm very concerned about the Asian hate, anti-Semitism, and the racist attitude of segments of this country. I am so very proud to have a running mate who is an intelligent Asian woman. And who better to speak to this than Charu? So go ahead.
Well, as an Asian immigrant working woman, mother of 2 kids, the journey has not been easy, both professionally and personally. I moved to Millburn in 2016, and I have been working at various banks in leadership roles in finance. And recently I was awarded as the most influential woman in banking payments in the world by United States for my contributions to improving economic growth in the US. And I plan to leverage all of my financial experience into providing an economic growth for our township committee, for our town, and for the residents. Well, I would say to being a woman and to be the first immigrant over here, first family of immigrant over here, I had to prove hard, much harder than my counterparts. But over here, I truly respect the love I got from the community, and I foster the same approach to give back to the community by volunteering in different ways. I personally believe to promote culture and diversity, we have to form some community engagement groups, do some cultural education, and make sure that people do not spread hate and do not do fear-mongering practices in a town. Recently, I also sit on Community Service Award Committee that recognizes individuals for their volunteering work and their efforts to make Millburn and the community at large a better place. However, my Republican opponent, Mr. Sacamendi, called this Community Service Award Committee as frivolous. This is an insult to all the volunteers, and I have the proof. He said to me personally in front of many Millburn residents to call me and the Millburn residents who are volunteering their time for the good of the public is an insult and demeaning to our efforts. I want to ask Mr. Sacamendi, if you're elected, do you plan to dissolve the Community Service Award Committee? This is the committee that had also recognized Ms. Klemer in the Township Council, who had been influential and been working with the homeless, with the mentally challenged people. That the respect that you show to the people Recently, you have been disrespecting women and the people of Millburn residents, which is unacceptable. Thank you.
Thank you, Shanu and Bruce. I just want to remind the audience, right? I already received tons of questions already, but I don't have time to go through right now because I'm hosting this forum. So we will open the chat box to everyone after the prepare a question session. Then you can submit your questions through the chat box so everyone can see it. We just want to make sure this is a fair and a transparent process. So don't send more questions to me because I don't have time to read it anyway. So let's move to the next question, okay? So to your knowledge, what is the current crime rate trend in our town and which offenses are most prevalent? Are you satisfied with efforts of current township committee in addressing this issue? And if not, what specific changes would you propose? So for this question, Team Bruce and Shannon will go first, and then Team Frank and Ben.
Thank you. So auto thefts across the country and in New Jersey have increased. According to the Millburn Police Department, the majority of auto thefts that happen here are because of unlocked cars and key fobs within the cars. The township is doing a good job of installing surveillance equipment around town, including cameras and license plate readers to track and retrieve stolen cars. We have encouraged the formation of neighborhood watch groups, and with the support of the Millburn Police Department, the Poet section already has established a very successful watch group. There are 4 other neighborhoods that are also currently looking to put together some watch groups. We are currently in the process of putting cameras in the schools, which will be connected directly to the police department so that they're aware of what's going on within the schools. We really have to be careful in what we talk about with the crime because there's been many reports of car chases that happen in town. One specifically, I understand, actually was for cars that was stolen in another town that went through Millburn. So why does Millburn get blamed for higher crime? In fact, our crime rate for car thefts this year has been lower than the last 2 years. So we're actually on a downward trend while it's an upward trend in other communities. You look at the theft that was in the mall. If you look again around the country, there's all this breaking into stores where stores like Target is actually closing stores to prevent thefts. So we're doing the best we can. Thefts are really lower in this town than in any of the surrounding towns.
Public safety is utmost priority. And I do acknowledge that it has been at risk, not only in Millburn, but in the neighboring towns, and it has been on rise in all over the country. But here's the plan. What I will do if elected is to start an auxiliary force that will be helpful for our police community. And a police can actually work on some other areas which require more security. This auxiliary force would also be helpful in fostering community engagement, where the students, the high school students and the residents can also come in and do that service for our residents and for our town. I will on having increased number of license plate readers, which has been installed all over the town to be able to proactively catch any car thefts. The local watch groups, which has been very successful in the Poet section, I will be very instrumental in expanding this to every other area in our community. Another aspect is to have more lights in the parking area to increase more visibility. I will also work to foster pedestrian safety and have more good crosswalks.
Your time is up.
Thank you.
Frank and Ben.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start. To begin, I would tell Charu and Bruce that it's a bad idea to enlist our children as crime fighters. That's a terrible idea. Low crime was one of the reasons our family moved here many years ago. Unfortunately, crime is up in Millburn. We realize that crime is up statewide. However, it has escalated more here than in neighboring towns. In 2015, I have the statistics to prove it. Millburn and Summit each had 9 car thefts. In 21, Millburn had 43 car thefts versus 24 in Summit. Criminals are now getting more brazen. Even if your car is locked, they are starting to break into homes to steal fobs. In the first 8 months of this year, there were 18 home burglaries compared to 7 during that same period last year. That's a 250% increase. At the most recent township committee, our team asked why the summary statistics are inconsistent with the police blotter. Their answer was, if a suspect breaks into your home, steals a fob, and then steals the car, that's only counted as one crime, a home burglary, not a car theft. Does that make sense to anyone? It does not. And it does. We believe our township committee is underreporting crime. Whether it's negligent or intentional, it's unacceptable. My professional world is all about analytics and making informed decisions. If you don't measure something, you can't fix it, as I said earlier. We will start by honestly and transparently reporting the true rate of crime in our community. We need to immediately commission a workforce study to understand how much staffing we need for policing. Currently, there's only 3 officers on patrol overnight. Neighboring communities have more than 3 times that. We did hire 2 new police officers in town, and we were all high-fiving and praising the increase to our TC. However, after me speaking with other officers, we found out that 2 officers had not even gone to the police academy yet, and were actually replacing 2 retiring officers who had 25 years of experience. Although we were grateful for 2 new police officers, it resulted in net 0 increase and a loss of 50 years of collective policing experience. By August, we had already burned through all our policing overtime budget for the year, even though we were only 2/3 of the way through the year. Clearly, we need to have better baseline staffing levels instead of paying so much overtime. Once again, we should not enlist our children to fight crime.
We need to create a culture of awareness and inform residents of what is going on so that they can take action. If we want to change state-level catch and release programs, we need residents to become outraged and contact their state representatives to advocate for tighter laws. We will look into what legal actions the town can take against the governor and attorney general to further tighten the laws so that crime will once again have consequences. We should station police cars at the entrances and exits of town. This will deter would-be criminals from entering our community. Summit does this, Livingston does this. There's no reason why we can't do this. In fact, by not doing this, we are essentially inviting criminals to come raid our community. We will also work with the high school computer science program to create a See Something, Say Something smartphone app. If a resident sees suspicious activity, they can snap a photo that gets geotagged and sent directly to the police. We'll also look into implementing Nixle, which is a real-time emergency alert system. Summit has already been using this system very effectively.
Sorry, your time is up here. So thank you, candidates, for answering this question. So my next question is, while running for improvements in the township committee, can you identify common grounds or differences between your policy proposal and those of current committee members? How do you plan to move beyond negative politics and foster bipartisan consensus? So Team Ben and Frank will go first, and Team Shanu and Bruce.
Okay. It's critical for us to highlight that if both our opponents are elected, then there could never be bipartisan consensus because the township committee would continue to be controlled by a single party. Given the 6-year track record of the Democrat-controlled TC, it's fair to conclude that they do not intend to govern inclusively, and their statements on this call tonight. They continue to vilify anyone who dares to question their preferred partisan narrative and secret ways of governing. We share significant common ground with current TC committee member and former Mayor Tara Prupis. Tara has publicly stated that she is supporting us and against the income segregated dump housing project, and she is a critical third vote we need to stop the ill-conceived project from moving forward, not accepting status quo. Last year, many residents, including Frank, raised the issue of giving voters opportunity to move to nonpartisan local elections. After listening to the residents, Tara actually put this motion forward, but she was outnumbered by the rest of the committee who indefensibly chose to take away residents' right to self-determination. If elected, we would work with Tara to get this referendum on the ballot. Residents have told us that they are exhausted of the partisan politics, especially on our local township elections, as you see tonight. They crave structural reform and desire safeguards for Millburn for generations to come. We see no reason why residents should be denied a voice in how they choose to be governed.
Since the question mentioned negative politics, I would like to add that I am deeply offended by our opponents and their surrogates' repeated use of the term Trump MAGA Republicans to label our ticket. These candidates know nothing about us or our lived experience. and to callously toss that accusation in our direction is downright offensive. During the summer of 2020, as a result of the rise in anti-Asian hate crimes spurred on by the vitriol coming from the White House, my husband Jerry was terrified of leaving the house to run basic errands like grocery shopping. To this day, he has to look over his shoulder when walking alone in the city or waiting on a subway platform. I want to be crystal clear on this. I disavow all of Trump's divisive rhetoric, and I am offended that anyone would try to associate our campaign with it. The fact that our opponents continue to use this epithet to label our campaign is itself a divisive tactic meant to tear apart the fabric of our community. They should be ashamed of their behavior. They have no platform to stand on, so they resort to distraction, distortion, and division. Millburn deserves better, and that's what Ben and I are fighting for.
Bruce and Shannon.
Thank you for the question. Well, I would start with saying that Ben and Frank, you should be really ashamed of what you said to me and the Millburn residents by portraying hate and hate speech and discrimination against all the residents. Your supporters called me a coward who is a hard-working Asian woman. Just because of being Asian and a woman, you have no right to call me a coward and a proponent of child labor. For God's sake, I am a woman of 2 children who is working very hard for the education for our community and who is willing to bring her professional experience in finance into this township committee. Please stop discriminating against Millburn residents, perpetuating hate. Bruce and I have been speaking to millions of residents since these past few months, and within the past few days, they have told us how concerned and how sad they are by, yes, I would call MAGA Trump Republicans, because they have been harassing people with your deceitful newspapers who had said no, and you have been going to the car line, I repeat, car line, where a woman was trying to pick up her child, and you harassed her into taking the newspaper. This is what we want in our beautiful Short Hills Millburn community. I was attacked, Millburn residents were attacked. They have even mentioned to me that most of the people who were challenging your lies, they were removed from the groups, from the social media groups. And this is what we want to cultivate in our beautiful Short Hills town. There is no room for hate and there is no room for politics in a town. We have run a very positive campaign. When you speak about nonpartisan, come on, why are you hiding behind nonpartisan and running on Republican ticket? You have been taking money from Republican. You have Michael Byrne, who is the campaign manager of Trump, on your ballot. And why are you taking money from the Republicans and calling for a bipartisan campaign? And also, when Republicans were controlling the TC, there was a referendum which Democrats had started for a bipartisan, for a nonpartisan. And why did the Republicans say no?
Yeah, you know, it's really funny that you say we called you MAGA Republicans. The only time I've seen MAGA Republicans posted was when you called yourself MAGA Republicans, or saying that we've never said that anywhere. And I'm sure you cannot show me where we said that. As far as our campaign goes so far, we've been very positive with no negativity at all. And we just are shocked that you're saying that we've called you MAGA Republicans, because we haven't. We could, and it would be very easy based on your campaign. You know, you say hate signs, but look at your sign saying, don't make Millburn look like Jersey City, which is a very hateful, discriminatory sign.
Racial.
It's racial, yes, absolutely.
And you could have mentioned it as in Hoboken or Bergen County if you talk about overdevelopment, but that was racially sounded towards.
Sorry, Janu, Bruce, time is up.
Thank you.
So let's, given the time we have, it's 7:44 on my screen. I want to move to next session because I have been bombed with many questions from our audience. So Duke, can you please open the chat box to everyone? And please submit your question again. As I said, I did not have time to read through all the questions submitted to me before. So please, if you have questions, submit through chat box so everyone can see it. And I just want to see, you know, we should understand this is a very consequential election. We really lucky have this 4 talented candidates step up and willing to serve. So please submit your question now, and let's open the chat box. I think the first question we have, I mean, yeah, I can see it's from JS. What are the main points you want voters to remember about you and your candidates? So for this question, again, each team will have 3 minutes. So we'll have Bruce and Channel's team go first, and then Ben Frick.
Okay, well, unfortunately, we missed a question that.
What are the main points you want voters to remember about you and your candidates?
Okay, thanks for the question. That's a great question. I stand for integrity, honesty, transparency, accountability, and better management of fiscal responsibilities. With my leadership in various banks in the United States, I have proven that I can navigate complex issues, build consensus amongst a lot of people, navigate the multi.
Hello?
Chanu and Bruce, I think you guys are freeze.
Want to instill that financial experience in the township committee and also being transparent and accountable, listening to our residents intently, working together and working towards making our Millburn stronger, brighter, and fear-free.
Right. And also, if we have some more time, so I have over 100 clients that I still deal with, of very high net worth individuals. I have their utmost trust in what I do. They know that I'm very fiscally responsible. I have control of their money. They let me access their bank accounts. And because I'm so fiscally responsible, I help them with all sorts of questions that they ask. I become their most trusted advisor. And that's what I want to bring to the Township Committee, that I will be the trusted advisor for all of Millburn, not just the Democrats, not just the Republicans, but all of Millburn. I'm also, very out there in the open. I speak with people. We're going to look to have roundtables to speak to people on a smaller basis. We're very concerned about education, and this is where we're all about.
Okay. Frank and Ben?
Sure, I'll start off. So what I want the residents to remember most about our candidacy is that we're going to stop the overdevelopment. We're going to tackle the crime epidemic that our town is experiencing. We're going to restore residents' voice and bring a new era of transparency and openness that has been severely lacking. And we're going to push for a referendum to let residents decide if they want to move to nonpartisan local elections. I also want to take a brief moment to respond to some of the allegations that Chiru lobbied against me. I have never made disparaging remarks against women, and I would like her to produce evidence if she has any. I've also never knocked on any car windows. I haven't visited any car lines. So some of the stuff that she's saying is just blatantly false and misleading. And we're seeing too much of this. We're seeing too much of this divisive politics, and moving to nonpartisan local elections will help rid our town of this.
Yeah, honestly, listen, I'm a father, a husband, a resident. I've been signing the fronted checks for many, many years, Bruce. The one thing you need to remember about us is do your homework, understand our policies, understand our platform, understand the deceitful lies you're hearing on this call and on this Zoom call, and compare them. A lot of people in this town know me because I've well tutored and mentored their children. For you to say that is really, really crass. In terms of our policy of accountability, good governance, and transparency, obviously we will bring that to the table. For the town long-term to survive and flourish and fight the overdevelopment, and specifically that dump, is imperative. We all believe in affordable housing. I believe in affordable housing, but it must be done in a practical, methodical manner, in an economical manner. Right now, Bruce and Charu want to put 75 families wedged between a train railroad tracks and the world's largest electric substation on a contaminated site. And I understand we believe it will be remediated. And then we'll spend $6 million or so to move the dump to JFK. It makes no sense. So from that standpoint, the town knows me. They've worked with me. They've seen how I act. I think it's very deceitful for Bruce and Charu to bring this up. In fact, I was taking a picture at the Stop Gun Violence rally with Mikey Sherrill and my 11-year-old daughter. Bruce Kramer, with a scowl on his face, is standing behind a photographer screaming he's a Republican. Little does he know that my partners, we do fundraisers for Mikey Sherrill. I know her from all around. I've been in many fundraisers with her. And she looks down at my little girl who's welling up with tears because Bruce is screaming with a scowl on his face that I'm a Republican. And Mikey Sherrill says, "Don't worry, honey, I'm all of New Jersey's congresswoman." That's class. What you guys are showing now is not class. It's disgusting.
Thank you. So I still see our audience send a question direct to me. So if you can, please send question to everyone instead of just myself, so people can see your question. And so also, can I ask you to have a name, at least the first name listed on the question, so we can call out your name instead of just iPhone ask a question. So my next question show up to everyone is from Belinda. Belinda's question is, combined the RDP and unmet need number, Millburn could build up to 1,000 units, AH units, total more than 4,000 units. What do you think of this number? Too much, too little, or just right? So for this question, Tim, Ben, and Frank will go first, and then Chanu and Bruce.
Great. So I'll start off. So what's interesting is if you look at New Jersey's affordable housing laws, if every single town in New Jersey satisfied 100% of their affordable housing obligation, New Jersey's population would triple. We're already the most densely populated state in the country. This just doesn't make a lot of sense. So what towns do is they negotiate settlement agreements with fair share housing to try and get a discount off of that unmet need. Well, our settlement agreement satisfies 75% of our unmet need. Now, if you look at the settlement agreements of neighboring towns, including towns that had not built any affordable housing prior to 2018, you'll see that we got the worst settlement agreement in the state. Other towns are only having to satisfy between 20 and 30% of their unmet need. So to me, I think that there's a severe problem with the affordable housing laws, and Millburn got a terrible deal, and it didn't need to be this way. We could have built senior affordable housing. We could have rehabbed existing units who had rents that already qualified as being considered affordable. And we could have joined the lawsuit that the other towns have against the governor to bring affordable housing laws back into the legislature instead of having the courts decide things.
Yeah, from the biggest problem that really happened is when the decision in the middle of the night was to approve the settlement. And then with the overlay zones, which actually passes an ordinance to be able to build those apartments, that's the big red flag. And without significant analysis, it's very difficult to understand. But right now, they can build all the ways down from Annie Says, which is at Millburn and Essex, all the ways down past Trader Joe's. If I wanted to live in Montclair or Jersey City, Charu, I would have moved there. I didn't. I moved here because of the small collegial feel of the town. I didn't want to be run over by cars. I didn't want to be sitting and walking to the train station and breathing congestion from CO2 of cars being idle in traffic for 20 to 30 minutes. And that's what's happening to our town. Like it or not, there's too much overbuilding in our town. That's it.
Bruce and Chanu.
Okay, so basically, we need to take a look at what the settlement said. The town tried to get the 75 units built elsewhere, but no matter what we did, the court said, no, that's where it had to be built. So if we didn't build the 75 units, it could have been 375 units. Second of all, I have to take objection to this Mikey Sherrill thing. I haven't had that opportunity. I've never screamed like a madman at anyone in my entire life. Ben, you know very well we were joking around afterwards.
Oh, so now it's joking. It didn't make
I don't interrupt you. Don't interrupt me.
because you're
Don't
blaming.
interrupt me. Don't interrupt me. You talk about CO2 emissions, whatever it is from a car. Why do you drive a car that only gets 12 miles to the gallon? We both drive electric cars. You drive a car that gets 12 miles to the gallon. So don't give me this nonsense and the lies. Don't lie about the fact that you were a Democrat for all these years when you know very well that in 2015, you registered as a Republican when you moved to this town. You only changed to be a Democrat a year ago so you can represent you can vote in a closed primary and then change back to a Republican. And you changed back to Republican too late. You couldn't even vote for yourself. So come on, you want to tell the truth? Tell the truth. You say you're getting all your money. You say you get, I don't want to see what that is. You say you get all your money from Democrats as well as Republicans. You receive 100% of your money from Republicans beforehand. I don't care about that official ballot. I'm just telling you, this is what the story is. It's constant lies. And you even got a $5,200 check from the wife of the chairman of the New Jersey Republican Party that doesn't even live in our town, lives in Summit. So don't tell us about stories or lies. You can.
Yeah, and we are the ones who have been returning the checks from the developers. And you talk about overdevelopment and take money from developers and the Republicans. We Democrats are the ones who have returned checks from developers. We are against overdevelopment. The mess which you guys have brought us into is where affordable fair share housing comes to any township along with courts, and they choose the side. If that tells us how inexperienced and immature you are and how you don't even understand the whole process. If you had been slightly involved in the township committee and affordable fair share housing process, you would have understood very well that affordable fair share housing is a nonprofit organization that works with the courts, come with developers to any township, and if they do not comply, they will sue the township. And you talk about suing. Mind you, any township that has sued against fair share housing, they have ended up losing and costing millions of dollars, which comes out from taxpayers' money. And that's the mess which you guys have brought, the Republicans had brought into, and now you want to bring another mess into it. I do not like DPW side. I do not like overdevelopment that had been brought because you did not do for 39 years. Had we negotiated, we would not have been in this mess. And right now, the court, if you were there on the township committee meeting, it was clearly told by the township members and the court that they have brought Millburn's leg to the fire, and they are not going to revert or take back any development decision. The judge ordered that they need to have the agreement signed by RPM for the 75 fair share housing units. So what are you even talking about? Stop telling lies to the people and come up with a plan, which we have a plan going forward. And I also want to comment on the allegations by Frank. I have the proof, millions of residents have the proof, where you took out millions of residents, where your supporters called me a coward, insulted a woman, and many residents who were harassed by your sickening newspaper, which is full of lies. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Candice. I just want to stress again, please do not send a question direct to me. Please send to everyone so people can see your question. And if you can, put your name on your question, okay, so I can call out your question. So next question, I don't know who put this question, is Vivian. Vivian question to everyone is, can you please raise your hand if you have voted in this town in prior local election? I don't know if this is because you want to.
Oh, look.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
to be clear, Chiru, you haven't voted before?
I was expecting the same thing from you, like how you do not talk about issues, but on the things which I can very well answer. I'm still smiling. So here we go. Like I said, I have been a first family immigrant, and I'm not entitled to everything which, everybody is. I had a fair share of challenges when I became a citizen in 2019. And right after that, COVID hit. Well, I was trying to work as a volunteer for my community, work hard for my children because education is an utmost priority for me, and for my aging parents who were living there with me. My first and foremost duty was to work with our community. I have been working with Millburn Inspire. That has been instrumental in working with the hospitals during COVID and working for the families that could not feed themselves. And also, I was figuring out at that time, yes, I should have voted, but I just had become a citizen at that point in time. And I was figuring out with the challenges, with the procedures, with everything, because I wanted to continue doing my community service, which I have been doing for many years. I came to the United States more than 20 years ago, and I have been actively involved with the community right here in Millburn, whether being a member of Millburn Inspired Organization, Community Service Award Committee, which you actually called frivolous, with a proof. Every resident has a proof with a screenshot, which a lot of Millburn residents saw it, which you insulted all the volunteers. So like I said, I'm smiling because I know you have insulted my volunteering work. Yes, I agree, I should have voted, but at that point in time, I was still figuring out all the legal processes and made sure that I do the right step and the right decision and understand the right candidates.
So I'm going to respond to that. So, one of the greatest rights that we have when we are citizens, and I commend you on becoming a citizen. That's fantastic. One of the greatest rights we have is to vote, right? And to participate in our democracy. And now you're running for local office, yet you've never voted in local office despite being able to vote since 2019. And I understand you're busy. Well, this isn't a back and forth. You had your time.
It's not about being busy. It's about being understood.
So I understand that you might have been busy, but with vote by mail and early voting, there's always time to vote. But I'll move on. You're also misrepresenting things that I said in the chat. So you were trying to say how you volunteered on committees and you've done extensive volunteer work. It's great that you volunteered. However, you specifically mentioned the Community Service Award Committee. And what I said was a committee whose sole purpose is to give out awards hardly qualifies as the type of public service one needs in order to lead this
and that's
town.
Something insult.
I never called it frivolous. I didn't insult the committee. I simply said that does not qualify you to lead our town.
To lead, you mentioned, you just said that doesn't qualify as a public service. So you are saying, Frank, that if you are elected, you will dissolve.
You're misconstruing my words again. Look at what I said very carefully.
Ask a different question. So Frank, where did you volunteer for this town on any committee?
Well, so you see, what's interesting, Bruce, is in order to serve on committees, you have to basically be friends or neighbors.
That's not true.
Political acquaintances of the Democrats that are in power.
That's not true. When I moved into the town, I knew no one. Do not feed lies into the community. And you did agree and accept that you did say that this is something not even a public service. And that was there in the text to millions of residents.
Yeah.
So I ask again, you did not answer. If elected, you would dissolve
okay.
a committee?
The time is up for this question. Sorry, candidates. When we initially think about organize this forum, we did not intend to be debate, but it turns out to be a debate. So I kindly ask our audience, actually I want our audience feedback. Would you prefer this debate style or more forum style? But I guess we'll gather the feedback after this session. So next question I have seen on my screen, and when I say it, it's from 7:46 p.m. We're still at 7:46 p.m. So people please be patient. From Vinit Agrava, Frank, your campaign recently put up a billboard comparing our town to Jersey City shortly after Shanu's nomination. What led to the selection of Jersey City for this comparison? And was there any intention to imply a connection between Shanu's Asian background and Jersey City? I guess, Frank, this
Sure. So since this question was directed at me, I'll answer. We had those signs printed over the summer before Chiru even joined the ticket. We actually had the signs out before Chiru even joined the ticket. I didn't even know who Chiru was. I didn't even know she was going to be running because at that time, the current mayor, Maggie Miggins, was our opponent. And what we were trying to portray with that sign is there's a lot of tall buildings in Jersey City. Jersey City is in fact a city. It's right in its name. And what we were trying to say is with all of the overdevelopment happening in Millburn, do we really want it to look like Jersey City? Because if we keep building all of these tall buildings and adding hundreds or thousands of new apartments, we're not going to be a suburban town anymore.
Why not
We're
say
going to become a city. So it had nothing to do with Chiru. It had nothing to do with anyone's race. And for anyone to try to misconstrue that is just kind of ridiculous.
Thank you, Frank. So next question I have to send to the public is from Pooja Parik. The question is, our school are internal component of Millburn Short Hills. As a member of TC, how would you work with BOE to ensure collaboration and communication to help our schools? So for this question,
that's a great question.
Yeah, Ben, go first.
Yeah, that's a great question. I was actually last year, about a year ago, stood up at a township committee meeting and said, when we look at our budgets and we look at our budgets for BOE and township, and we're bringing in all these families from the Upton, there were supposed to be 13 children. There was actually 56 children, I believe. There's supposed to be anywhere from 300 to 600 kids from the 75 9 Main Street project. My question was, well, why are we not working hand in hand with the BOE to understand what the financial obligations of taxpayers will be? And Michael Cohen goes, whoa, that's not our problem. That's the Board of Education's problem. Well, Michael Cohen doesn't understand that as a resident taxpayer, it's like a balloon. We have to pay all the taxes. You push in one side, it comes out the other. All those taxes need to come through. So we need to have open, honest, transparent discussions with the BOE to understand what children are coming in so we can have those young people thrive in our school system and be an asset. And we can help everyone rise up. If we wait for the children's behind to be in the seat, it's going to be too late.
Well, I don't know where you get that number for 75 units to have so many children.
Well, they're 80% of the units are 3-bedroom, Bruce.
I still don't see how they're going to have that many children. That's one thing. Second of all, the law does not take into account any provisions for infrastructure, education, or the like. That's something that we have to deal with. And we will work with the Board of Education, and because they are taxed differently, for the real estate taxes, but we will work with them closely to try to plan to see what's going on. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, and like I said, I have been in finance industry for almost 20 years, where I was also recognized by American Banker magazine, which is a top-tier banking magazine, as the most influential women in payments. And I want to continue providing my experience and expertise to be able to provide economic growth. Affordable housing, like I said, it wasn't a good plan, and I am not for it. I am a woman who wants to have the best interest of a town. I have a lot at stake because I have 2 children, one studying in 3rd grade at Deerfield Elementary School, and my daughter who is studying in Millburn High School. I want to have the right education, preserve our history, our town, safeguard our exceptional schools. I do not want to have any overdevelopment in the town. But look what happened. Because of you Republicans in doing anything, there was no negotiation power. And hey, we are a welcoming community. Do not call that you do not want to allow to have, the teachers, the nurses to come in and move into our town. That will help flourish our business as well.
Sorry that cut you off. The time is up. So I still see many questions come up, and I apologize for some of the confusion because a lot of people send me direct question and other people cannot see it. And as I stated earlier, I pick a question based on order you send to the chat box to everyone, not just me, because I didn't have time to read through those questions. But I want to ask candidates, do you want to receive this questions answer or have a follow-up session? Because we have so many questions, but our time is up actually.
I think we should have a live in-person debate, and I think we should have this in a debate format where we can have a proper back and forth, where we can stand at a podium, we can do like a Lincoln Douglas style debate, because I really think that residents in town need to see the candidates speak on their feet and have a good back and forth about the issues. So that's something that I certainly am willing to do, and I'll let Ben speak for himself on that one.
I certainly agree. I mean, the amount of lies that are being propagated here are unbelievable. I've already proven 2 to be false from Bruce. He wasn't a madman, but he was just joking around and making my daughter cry. Well, you don't make my daughter cry, sir. And second, that I didn't register in time to get my ballot when my ballot's here with my name on it. The people of Millburn Short Hills are the smartest, most kind and giving people in the world. They're not going to fall for the gaslighting that you and Charu are doing right now.
Okay, so you talk about gaslighting. So that's your sign, but I'm not even going to go there. Again, I've never yelled at anybody ever in my life.
You admitted to. You said you were joking.
You know what? It's funny, Ben. The first time we met, you were telling me about Indiana University, how in a business school you get to learn how to act. I think that's what you're doing now is acting. So
Bruce, you're not answering the question. Will you debate us in person?
You're deflecting.
You know, we always offered to debate. We would
In
debate
person?
But
Live?
you know what the history has been with debating live? Go back and look at the history. And you weren't living in the town probably then, but look at the history of what was going on, especially how we as Democrats were treated. And that's the reason why this is happening. And
If you sit on the dais, you're going to need to be able to deal with residents and their comments, right? They're not always going to be, you're not always going to be happy comments.
Can I say why? Okay, can we also talk about the real issues? Like, I find it really, really childish. Look, we are here to be able to run this town and to be able to hear the concerns of our residents. Bruce and I have been talking to hundreds of residents in these past few days, and they are really concerned about education, which is for me utmost priority, public safety, to comply with fair share housing and not to run away from our duties, which you did. And what I keep hearing from you guys is, that you guys are feeding lies. You are insulting me and the residents. When the residents have, trying to raise their voice and opinions, you remove them from their groups, you delete their voices, and that is the harm to
be fair, whatever groups you're talking about, I don't control them. I'm not the bad guy that's removing people.
This is how you harass people, and your supporters have been harassing people. Can we talk about issues? When I say about issues,
so let's talk about issues in a live in-person debate. Let's do that.
Let's do that over here.
From the community. Let's have a live debate. Will you agree to a live debate?
That's a perfect example of Trump Republicans. When a woman or a person or a resident is talking, you guys try to just jump over it. So please go ahead, and I will not speak. Once you stop, then I will speak. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you, candidates. So I think probably it's time for us to move to our final session. That's a closing statement. So each candidate will have 2 minutes to do a closing statement. The order will be followed. Frank and Ben will go first, and then Bruce and Chanu. So Ben and Frank.
Okay, good. I'll go ahead and start. It's 2 minutes apiece, correct?
Yes, 2 minutes.
Okay, good. So in conclusion, I still want to thank Bruce and Charu and Frank for joining me tonight, and the whole board and committee made this possible. My forward vision is a thriving Millburn Short Hills Township, unified in our pursuit of excellence, a town with very low crime, a thriving economic infrastructure, a school system in the very top of the national rankings, law and order, and a collaborative voice for our leadership. Millburn Short Hills must be a provocative thought leader on environmental issues and a leader in mental health issues for our children. We all thrive together harmoniously in the pursuit of these lofty goals. Hate has no place here in Millburn. We should be a shining example for New Jersey, not a partisan wasteland. I've spent my entire career making real decisions and delivering, not just regurgitating a few sound bites or something that was gleaned from the internet. If you want real world experience, Millburn, without biased decision making on our ticket is the only one you should consider. Frank and I have spent many evenings over the last year showing up at TC meetings, zoning and planning meetings, going to court dates, and meeting with town residents. Our commitment is evident. We are here to unify, not divide our community. Thank you to everyone who made this happen once again. We will listen to all residents and manage this township with a critical, methodical, and practical decision-making skill set. We thank you for the opportunity tonight to earn your vote.
I would once again like to thank the Millburn Short Hills Chinese Association for sponsoring tonight's candidate forum. Thomas Jefferson once said, "A properly functioned democracy depends on an informed electorate." And so I would like to thank all of you residents for attending tonight's forum to learn more about us candidates. Ben and I have run a positive campaign that has already garnered bipartisan and nonpartisan support from across the community. One of the pillars of our platform is to respect resident input. And to that end, we have welcomed all Millburn residents to join our movement that transcends political party. More than half of our donors are Democrats and independents. Additionally, we have an almost equal number of Democrats, independents, and Republicans volunteering for our campaign. This is evidence of our ability to unify rather than divide. We must all remember there are no Democrat parks and no Republican schools, no unaffiliated roadways. When a classroom is overcrowded, it doesn't just affect the children of Republicans or the children of Democrats. It affects all of us. We are all Millburn. That is why Vote for Millburn is our rallying cry. For too long, we have seen divisiveness and partisan politics infect our community. We have committed to putting forth a referendum to let residents decide if they want to move to a nonpartisan form of local government. We are the only candidates committed to governing on behalf of all residents, regardless of party. Ben and I represent the change that our town so desperately needs to move past all of this partisan bickering to a more unified Millburn. If you would like to learn more about our policies, please visit our website, voteformillburn.com, where you will find plenty of additional details about our platform. If you would like to get in touch with us, please feel free to call, text, or email us with the contact information we've provided on our website. Remember, don't vote for party, vote for yourself, vote for family, vote for kids, vote for Millburn. You can find us on Line A. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. And next, Bruce and Channel.
Okay, thank you again for having this forum. We very much appreciate being heard. So I know everyone is talking about having a nonpartisan government. I don't know what form of government that ultimately would be. We're a township right now. If you want to have a nonpartisan government, look at Montclair, where the mayor of Montclair gets to choose the school board. I don't think that's what we want to do. So you heard what they had to say, and you heard what we have to say. Remember, they allied themselves with a party that's led by Donald Trump. He's being prosecuted for his part in attacking our democracy. Democracies are fragile and must be protected. Politics start at the local level. MAGA Republicans from out of town are pouring significant money into this election so they control how our town is run. We love our town. We must prevent MAGA Republicans from banning books, controlling our schools' curriculum by rewriting history. I ask again for your vote. To vote for candidates that will serve with honesty and integrity. Please vote line B for Bruce Kramer and Cheryl Gold. And remember, one man tells a lie, dozens repeat it as the truth. Thank you.
Can I go? Okay. In closing, I again want to thank Millburn Short Hills Chinese Association and to the Millburn residents for tuning in tonight. As a mother of two, I understand that we have the most at stake in our town's future right now, particularly when it comes to schools, education, public safety, and promoting economic development in Millburn, and have the right and sensible infrastructure development when the time is right. Again, I say when the time is right. My opponents have been hiding behind blue boards, concealing their true identities, called me and residents' name, and had perpetuating scaremongering tactics time and again against anyone who has opposed them. I would also like to say that Mr. Ben Stoller, he also stalked my social media account and posted some very unethical and very disturbing comments where my children are also there. and I had to remove those disrespectful things about me. This is what we want from somebody who wants to lead our town. We don't want any fear or hate to be coming into our town, but rather talking about the policies, the economic growth, the right development, the future of our children, which I truly care about, the right education, and not banning of the books, which has started going on. And somebody at the Millburn Library from Republicans tried to ban the book, and the Democrats have been fighting hard against it so that children have access to the books. My promise to you is, if elected, I will listen intently, respond, and work with you together. I will bring back transparency and accountability into our township council, which is lacking right now. With my financial experience, I promise to work on optimization of taxes and efficient use of every tax dollar and work on shared resources. I promise to improve public safety, work with the town planners, and come up with the best plan. Please vote for the positivity and making a Millburn stronger on line B, Democrats Bruce Kramer and Charu Goyal.
Sorry.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for all the candidates' participation. So audience, most important thing, please vote. So at last, we are inviting Wen Li, Vice President of Millburn Short Hills Chinese Association, to give us a closing remark. Wen, please unmute yourself.
Daniel. Good evening, everyone. I'm Wen Li, Vice President of the Millburn Short Hills Chinese Association. We would like to thank the candidates for joining us today and thank the members for your attendance and the consideration for each of candidates and their views. As a reminder, the general election day is Tuesday, November 7th. The association urges all members to go out and cast your votes. If you cannot vote in person, there is the option of the mail-in voting. You don't have to vote for the party you register as. You don't have to vote for both candidates on the same ticket. You can mix and match as you see fit. If there are any questions that you didn't get a chance to ask and would like to contact any candidates directly, we will be happy to share their contact information. Thank you. Back to Eden.
Thank you, Wen, and thank you, neighbors. Thank you, audience. Wish you have a good night. And here concludes our session today.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.